This is Taika Waititi from New Zealand, and you're watching The World of Lewis.
The movie Boy, like I said, is going to open up in Atlanta this weekend. I think it's really authentic the way Rocky and Boy actually, they're brothers, and you can see that they really care about each other, but like Boy is really trying to give that tough love to Rocky, and he doesn't really. And then to have the father come in and the boys kind of step back. I say boys as in plural. They kind of step back and look at dad like, wow, my dad is absolutely crazy and will do anything, and kind of look up to him, and yet he's still just that loose cannon, ready to fight at a drop of a hat, ready to go steal or do whatever it takes to provide for himself and now for his family.
That's right. And it's really about three boys. If you include the father, he is a boy as well. He's getting parented by these kids as well. He's being looked after by Boy and by the little brother, and it's really all about just that triangle of that relationship where here's a father who really only cares about himself, and then there's the main boy who fantasizes about his dad, who being a hero and everything, and about those shifting loyalties and those shifting ideas of who your parents really are, and because the idea is that the film's about heroes and how they eventually, do they disappoint us, or what are the reality of our heroes? Every hero, I think, is flawed, and I think for everyone in the world, the first heroes that you have that you realize aren't perfect are your parents.
Right.
And for guys, a lot of guys, it's your dads. It's like, oh, wow, my dad isn't a spaceman.
Right.
Like I thought,
I really
it's like really about finding the reality of who these people are. But still, you're allowed to still have, your parents are still allowed to be your heroes.
Right. Well, I like the common thread, though, that you put in with the grandmother. You really don't hear that much about her, but you kind of get a vibe that she was a major part of their life, but then you really get it towards the end. You really get it. I love that common thread, because a lot of the boys growing up, they do have, like you said, their father is their almighty, their astronaut, if you will, but yet you still have that softer side with the grandmother that absolutely, truly loves the kids. And it's really cool to see how Boy kind of comes up, and he's still a young kid, but he has to look after all of his other siblings and his cousins, and he kind of takes the father role and the grandmother role. Is that the way it is in New Zealand?
Yeah, I mean, growing up then, it's probably a little different now. I think people are a bit more responsible, but in those times it was a little bit more acceptable to to let kids take care of themselves. I mean, nowadays I think it's gone a bit too far these days. Now you've got people scheduling play dates and stuff. It's like, okay, darling, you're going to have a play date for 1 hour on Wednesday with Samantha, and then we have a cut-off point, and then we'll need to separate you two, and we're going to go back home to our own little tight microcosm, and we're not going to talk to anyone, and we're going to just sit there in our little tight family unit, and and it's like kids aren't allowed to do anything, they're not allowed to run free, and when I was a kid, it was like, leave the house.
You could go hang out with a mental. You could hang out with mental. And nobody would think anything of it. Yeah. Right.
It was like, you kids leave the house. I do not want to see you until dark.
Right.
I literally don't want you here until nighttime.
Exactly.
And that was great to have that freedom.
Well, like I said, I saw it and I absolutely fell in love with it. I think it's because I saw a lot of myself in Boy, and I think it's going to do really well. Not that I'm going to put a hex on it, but I really, really feel that it's going to do well. And if you don't mind, I'm thinking maybe in the future we could even dip back, and maybe we can get me to play Boy, and we can call it Boy to Men, and maybe he comes over to the States, Michael Jackson passes away, and then all of a sudden he gets this American accent, and then I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there.
Call it Man.
There you go. Boy to Men, I like
Boy
that.
to Man.
Yeah, I like that. And then we can have Boys to Men playing in the background. Mother. Sorry, that was.
To the end of the road.
You're doing it again.
So what about if I tell you guys, just because it's opening this weekend in 50 cities around the States. I don't know them, and I've never heard of them. I only know of towns and cities that I've heard in the movies.
Okay. All right.
And on TV. So anyway, the film is opening up in all these places. Go to www.boythefilm.com and check out where the film is playing near you. And do not Google Boy movies.
Oh,
just
good call.
Don't do that.
Good call.
Don't bother doing that. Just go to boythefilm.com. Don't go to boythemovie.com.
Right.
Boythefilm.com.
Well, you really took it down to the gutter, and that's fine. And I love how you just went right over me being the next boy in the next sequel of Boy. So we'll talk about that off camera. but we'll keep it rolling. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything.
Thank
the
you,
film
brother.
is absolutely wonderful. And if you
Shimon,
don't mind,
Shimon.
can we do some moves together?
on, let's do it.
Let's do it.